Let us forget fights and grudges and concentrate. Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, Remember, the key to success is working hard. For our country, we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build. And onward to progress we surely will. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together.
Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. A nation that we all can feel proud of being part and parcel of, being born here and seeing the place transform must be a rewarding feeling, a feeling of accomplishment. And that is why I continuously say to you, we need to build this place, transform this place. We need to live this place better than we met it, because we want our children and children to have it easier and better. I want to welcome you wherever you are and you're tuned in to the program, The Hub, every night, Monday to Thursday, from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. We converse, we talk about what's happening in our country. I want to encourage those on Facebook to please share the live. Those on YouTube, do the same thing. I want to start off tonight by saying to you, wherever you are, do not underestimate the desperation of Keith Mitchell, who lost badly at the last general election. And what we are seeing at this time is a deliberate attempt to spread misinformation, in my belief, to the people outside of Grenada. So he's appearing on programs with a little reach in the diaspora, with the hope that he can say certain things there and ultimately cause people to believe what he's saying, although in my belief, he's spreading misinformation. And he has done that before, if you ask me, in my opinion. He has always, appeared on programs when he's defeated with the hope of communicating with the people outside of Grenada. He knows the power of the people in the diaspora, the kind of respect your family members here at home have for you because you give remittances, you send barrels, foodstuff, clothing, just name it. So he knows that. And it's something that the NNP tried during the period 2008 to 2013. And they were successful in doing that. They were not communicating solely to the people who live in Grenada, but instead the folks who live outside of Grenada with all their misinformation, with all their lies, with the hope that they can convince them that things are falling apart and things are so bad. And they were successful during that period. But now we are communicating also with the people in the diaspora. So, for example, a gentleman who came from overseas visited me today. And in summary, he said, "Look, I discovered your program and I never stopped listening to the program because I was hearing the other programs. And then, for some strange reason, I tune into your program and I got something totally different." And that is from many years ago. He started listening to the program religiously so. So I am saying all of this so that you can understand what is the strategy of the NNP. They want the folks in the diaspora to turn on the NDC because so far there is a lot of support for the NDC administration and our beloved Prime Minister, the most honorable Deacon Mitchell, in the diaspora and also here at home. And there is this jealousy that flows from Keith Mitchell as he speaks about the honorable Deacon Mitchell. You know, it comes across as though he's jealous. He would use words to the effect, and they say they're popular, and they say they this, and they say they that, but walk on the streets and you're going to, it comes across as though he's jealous of the fact that the NDC is extremely popular in the diaspora and here at home. But I am telling you all of this so you can understand their strategy, because if you understand their strategy, you will be able to move accordingly. You'll be able to do certain things to derail that strategy, to prevent that strategy from taking root, because they tried that in the past and they were successful during the period 2008 to 2013. But I want to play a little piece of an interview he recently did. And look, I am playing that piece for you so you can get a greater appreciation of the rancor, the bitterness, the disappointment that still exists in the individual with the defeat on June 23rd, 2022. Because it is important. Some people don't like to hear him. They don't like to see him. I understand. I fully understand. I know my audience. I know the people I am communicating with on social media and on radio. But I play all of this for your own knowledge, because knowledge is power. Information is power. Right? So he was asked, Keith Mitchell was asked to, summarize, tell us how you feel. How do you grade? How do you assess the NDC within the last year, their performance, right? Tell us. We want to hear. How do you assess their performance? Listen to what Keith Mitchell had to say and record some of the words that he used.
On Mitchell administration. What's your first take on him in his first year in office?
Well, first of all, I think it's clearly it's green, very green, and inexperience. I suppose that based on the history of the members, one would know that no one in there had any history of governmental leadership and positions before, and therefore one expected to see some difficulties and some issues in the initial stages, but I must say that we are a bit surprised at the extent of what appears to be the incompetence.
Oh, wow.
The lack of knowledge, the tendency to want to get back at people instead of using the opportunity to build and to bring people together. It's an attempt to victimize, to hurt, and to what I perceive to be, unfortunately, divide the country.
Right. So you heard Keith Mitchell there. It's important that you understand what this guy is doing, what he's trying to achieve, right? He tried it during the campaign and he did not succeed. But this is Keith Mitchell talking about victimization. And that individual, that character, should be the last person to talk about victimization of workers or people generally. But he's bold, he's brave, he doesn't care. So he goes on these different small programs, and mind you, that program doesn't have any big listenership. But his hope is that he would reach some people out there who would believe what he's saying. That is the last person who should speak about victimization. He spoke about he was surprised, or they were surprised at the extent of incompetence. He spoke about inexperience. He spoke about them being very green. Folks, this is the NNP. This is the NDC. Let us look at what transpired under the NDC, because we are here to learn. This is an open university. So the NDC came into power. I list a number of things that the NDC was able to achieve in 12 months. Under the NNP, workers were fighting, clamoring, marching, protesting for their pension and their gratuity. The NDC came into power and they paid that. So here is Keith Mitchell talking about this young team being incompetent. But look at what they did. Keith Mitchell has been in power as prime minister for about 20-something years, 23 years plus, right? He has been in the politics for 40 years or so. And workers of Grenada, they have been clamoring, demonstrating, marching, protesting over and over again for their pension and their gratuity. They were not given their pension and their gratuity by the NNP, who came in and paid them their retroactive pension and gratuity. You know, before a person would come to borrow a little money from you to make it till the end of the month because for some reason the money finished. The NDC came into power and introduced the twice monthly payment, bi-monthly, twice monthly. So workers are receiving that same salary, half, twice per month. So you get it on the 15th and you get it on the 30th. Sometimes it's a little before that actual date. But that actually helped a lot of workers. Instead of them borrowing, they have money to spend. But the NNP said it was not feasible. It can't be done. Too much administrative this and administrative that. The NDC came into power and they got that done. They fix it. They implement that bi-monthly salary payment. Let's look at incompetence versus competence. So when Keith Mitchell goes out there, he's speaking to a specific audience, not people with sense, not people who are knowledgeable of what is happening in the country. You had the NNP, right, with the UK SIFT 22.99 million pounds, almost $80 million. Almost 80 million. Grant money given by the United Kingdom government and people for two major projects. The NNP refused to do what they're supposed to do to get the project started. Who came in and was able to renegotiate and get the greater chunk, the greater portion of that money so that at least the main project can get off the ground, the NDC. They were able to renegotiate and get 16.4 million pounds out of that 22.99 million pounds. So let us look at competence versus incompetence. Let's look at it. Under the NNP, and remember the NNP has been there for 20-something years in power. Look at the amount of conmen and crooks that came into Grenada and tricked the Keith Mitchell-led administration over and over and over, where millions and millions of dollars, taxpayers' money, money that could have been used for healthcare, education, agriculture, infrastructure, climate change, disaster management, housing, youth, sports, that money just disappeared, evaporated, because those blue-eye men, those crooks and con men, well, I called them on hunting occasions, convestors. They came here and they con the Keith Mitchell-led administration under the guise that they were investors. They're convestors. They con the Keith Mitchell-led administration. Let's look at competence versus incompetence. You have some guys who came in with the shrimp farm in Victoria, and they brought all those government ministers and all of those folks up there under the NNP. And they had them talking and talking. Tutus, $50-something million. A CBI project, a CBI approved project, $50-something million just vanish. Those convestors take it. But our passports were issued to those people who put in their money, right? Let's talk about competence versus incompetence. Don't forget Ekram J. Miller in Mount Hartman. He came here under the NNP. What did he do? He paid very little for 200 and something acres of land in Mount Hartman. When he realized he got the land so easily and so cheaply, he then approached the government for a guarantee. Yes, from the Frosties Bank of Miami, where $18 or so million, $18 or so million, the guy got. And he just went with his children and just enjoyed all. Nothing was constructed, nothing was built in that particular area. Yeah, let's talk about competence versus incompetence. How many public officers sued the government of Grenada as it stands as of today? The NDC administration. How many public servants sued the NDC administration for victimization, for wrongful dismissal, and so on? How many? Let's talk competence versus incompetence. And I challenge Keith, I challenge the NNP, I challenge any one of them. The NDC is way more competent than the NNP will ever be. And that's the fact. So when this guy goes out there and talk all this rubbish, he's not speaking to reasonable thinking people, but he is still playing catch up, right? He's trying to catch up with the level of reasoning of our people. Our Grenadian people are now more analytical. There's a higher level of reasoning and consciousness among our people home and abroad. So Keith Mitchell's message will find it very difficult to get through to our people. People will resent that, push it away. He's coming up against, like two different forces. It's difficult for him. So when he's talking about incompetence, we need to look at NNP versus NDC. NNP in government versus NDC in government. Let's look at it. You want to talk about this administration? We can have a conversation about that. And I am willing to engage in such a conversation because the records are there. The NDC has done way more in 12 months than the NNP in 23 years. And I challenge anybody out there where that is concerned, because I can bring enough evidence to substantiate my claim or claims as it relates to NNP's incompetence versus NDC's competence. We have seen so many things under the NDC administration. Something as simple as fixing our roads. Look at how our roads have been fixed today compared to under the NNP. And we can go on and on and on. There are so many good examples of how the NNP failed our Grenadian people. But this guy is going out there and bumping his gum with the hope that no one would ever know. People are going to forget, right? You remember the chicken farm, the fall farm, same Victoria. So you had shrimp and you had fall farm. What happened? Millions lost there again. You remember the stadium, the first stadium? Remember that? When Ivan came, he just folded it up like a piece of rag, right? Or toilet paper. Yep. And we discovered that it was not insured and it was not constructed with the kind of, architectural integrity, steel and other things like that. Nothing like that was done. Just full up. And we were told by the NNP that not one black cent of taxpayers' money will be going into the stadium. Then we discovered some 50-something million dollars. Loan, 2 loans were taken to build that particular stadium, but it was not constructed properly. Grenada lost again. I am saying the evidence is clear. Very, very clear. So when this guy goes out there and talks about incompetence versus competence, let us have a debate. Let us have a debate. Look at the workers. All of them happy. Extremely happy. The NDC was able to negotiate with the unions, with nearly all of them. I think the only one outstanding is GTAU, with about 50 something workers, represented. And they were able to negotiate where the workers got a 13% increase on their salary over a 3-year period, and they got all the fringe benefits and everything like that. Historic. Without protesting, without demonstrating, without fighting, it was peaceful. The Public Workers Union took a little longer, but peaceful. Under the NNP, it was a battle, demonstration, protest, all kinds of stuff. They were never able to get the thing right. Look at what the NDC was able to achieve peacefully. Under the NDC, look at the amount of consultations. They're consulting our people. They are listening to our people. They're not just going ahead and do stuff. They're not perfect, but they're doing consultations. That didn't used to happen under the NNP. No. You talk about competence versus incompetence. Let's have a conversation. But this guy is tactical. Very, very tactical. So he goes out there with the hope of misinforming, misleading, in my belief, that audience, because they're outside of Grenada. A lot of them don't know what is taking place here in real details. Yes, some of them know. They follow what's going down. But there are a lot of our Grenadian brothers and sisters who don't know what is going on here. So his hope is to fool these people, and they have influence on their household or the family here in Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. Then they would communicate same with their family members. So that is the trick. That is the strategy. So we have to continue to promote what the government is doing. We have to continue to educate and empower our people with information. Because once they know, then they will be able to respond. They'll be able to debate. They'll be able to point out this falsehood, this mischief that is coming from the NNP camp. That's very, very important. But tonight, I want to open up the line and give you a chance to speak, and you are free to comment, to speak on this very topic or anything else, because I think it's important. You hear Keith Mitchell speaking about the crime situation in the country, and you wonder for a moment. It's like, this thing just started to happen? And he start quoting percentage, and is this the first time where you have this amount of, homicides or crime? Or it boggles the mind. Sometimes you say, but wait, that's Keith Mitchell talking, as though under his leadership, it was all smooth sailing, man. It's all smooth sailing. But he can only fool the fool or fools, not people who have sense or who are reasonable in their thinking. But folks, it's an open line. I want to give you the chance to free up. The number 415-4817, 415-4817. It's a good opportunity for you to vent, to speak. I think you heard what Keith Mitchell had to say. I think so. But again, I can play it for you because I believe you need to know.
On Mitchell administration, what's your first take on him in his first year in office?
Well, first of all, I think it's clearly it's green, very green, and inexperience. I suppose that based on the history of the members, one would know that no one in there had any history of governmental leadership and positions before, and therefore one expected to see some difficulties and some issues in the initial stages, but I must say that we are a bit surprised at the extent of what appears to be the incompetence.
Oh, wow.
The lack of knowledge.
Good evening, caller. You're live.
Hi, good evening, Kim. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks.
Can I vent what I have to say?
You can speak, respectfully so.
Kit Mitchell think he own Grenada. Tell me to own Grenada. Thank you.
All right. I thought it would have been longer. All right. So again, the number is 415-4817. 415-4817. You see, folks, what we need to start doing some more is taking his words and defeat him with it and beat him with it, not physically, but figuratively speaking here. He's talking about incompetence. He's talking about competence. All you need to do is to start lease some of the many, messy things that happen under the NNP, and list some of the good things that happen under the NDC in the last 12 months. That's all you have to do, And then you say to your child or the guys on the block or the guys at your bar or shop or whatever, say, well, you tell me which one can be deemed or considered incompetent. Let's put it on the wall. Let's put it up. This is what you have done during your time in government. Look, the amount of poor people or poor and working people, because you had some who were poor and who were poor and working, right? So the poor and working people who lost their money in Cap Bank, not Co-op Bank, Cap Bank with the bug, right? How did the bug came up with or landed a license? How did he get that license to operate a bank in the state of Grenada, where in every little corner you had this Cap Bank set up, and plenty poor people, plenty working class people, or the working poor, as I would say, because they were working and they just can't get out of that whole poverty cycle and so on, who lost their money in that bank. But the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank won the Keith Mitchell-led administration. Do not grant a license to this guy. Look at the amount of people who lost their money. Millions and millions of dollars. So let's look at competent versus incompetent. That is the conversation. But folks, it's an open line, giving you a chance to speak. The number is 415-4817. 415-4817. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Ken. How are you doing?
I am fine, thanks. And you?
Yeah. Tell Keith Mitchell for me that I'm in the diaspora. and we don't want to hear anything about it. We don't want another crook in Grenada. Okay? So you have a good night.
All right. Again, the number 415-4817, 415-4817. Yeah, under the NNP administration, a lot of convestors, crooks came into Grenada and fooled the government of the day and took a lot of money, taxpayers' money, and run away with it under the NNP administration. Good evening, caller.
Hey, good evening, Cam.
Good evening.
I just want to say this. Keith Mitchell should have been in Toronto on Saturday at the gala and on Sunday at the town hall to see the outpouring of support for the NDC. And I wonder if he knows the definition of incompetence, because what they have done it in 11 months, he hasn't done in 2 decades. So I think Keith Mitchell should take a look at himself before he speaks. He should have been in Toronto to see the support that we had here to the NDC government. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, the caller. Let's take that other call. Good evening, caller. You're live.
Yeah, good evening, Cam. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Not so bad. This is the first time I'm calling this program, eh?
All right.
And
Thanks.
you're talking about incompetence. And it's supposed me to call. Cam, I want to ask you a question. How much times con men could con you the same way?
All right.
Cam, it's not a joke. How much times investors come to this country and con the past government actually the same way?
Yeah,
4, 5, 6 times?
a lot of times it became a habit.
Cam, if I have my company running and I give you the CEO, give you as the CEO to run the company, and con men come and con my company 4, 5, 6 times. If to get rid of you, that means you're incompetent.
Of course, and that is
Not qualified
incompetence.
to run the company. It's the same thing. You understand? I don't know if you remember Dommy James.
I heard
Dommy
about
James
him in
was a
St.
man who should be in
George's.
the market.
Yeah.
If Dommy James asks you for $1 today and I tell him tomorrow when he see you, you just tell him to the next day, the following day. He tell you online for him, you know. Dommy James and all you can con him the same way twice and 3 times. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well said there, caller. Thank you very much indeed. And look, all you need to do is to put the facts on the table. And that is how you cause a NNP to get very quiet. You don't cuss, you don't quarrel, you don't get into any brawl. Here you have Keith Mitchell speaking about competence and incompetence. Well, let us have a conversation. Let us put it on the table. Right? That's what you have to do. It's simple, you know. I could recall Deepcon, for example, that was a construction company operating here during the NDC time. The minute the NNP came into power, what they did, they just kick out the company, you know, the NNP administration, without even looking at the contract, and the Deepcon took them to court, and Deepcon won. And then they refused to pay Deepcon their money. Deepcon took them to court again in the United Kingdom and won again. But again, but folks, you can also say, I don't think in recent times the NNP won any case really and truly. Well, what George Worm newspaper, the Today newspaper, and then he moved to the New Today. That individual did not even get a cent. I think that's the only case, really, that individual won, or the government they won any, the NNP administration they won any case. I can't recall, to be honest with you. They have always been losing. Good evening, caller. Hello. Hello.
Yes, hello, good evening. Are
Yes.
you?
Yeah, we're hearing you. We are hearing you. Go ahead. Hello. Hello. Good evening. Yeah, we were actually hearing you, huh? We were actually hearing you there. So if you want to call back, you can. We're actually hearing you. I I must tell you this. We're actually hearing you. All right. So yeah. Let me just take this one. We're actually hearing you. So caller, you can call back. Good evening. Hello.
Hey, brother. Good night.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Good night to all the listeners, home and abroad. Kim, lest we forget Van Brink, Kim, and Steve Altman. The one that really baffles me is Van Brink. Van Brink tricked Mitchell and this administration, Kim, with this gem. He had supposed to deposit some, I think it was either $2 or $3 million, Kim. And that's supposed to start an offshore bank. Kim, it never happened. And if it did happen, I can't recall that good at the moment. But Kim, thousands of people lost their money in that bank.
In fact, a lot of Canadians lost
right.
their money in this offshore banking system here. And
Yeah.
again, under the NNP administration, they were conned by the same Van Brink with this gem on a piece of paper, you know, saying that he had this gem there, and they were tricked.
Yeah, and that is why I can't understand how people usually would label Keith as the best prime minister ever. How come in heaven's world you could make somebody trick you with a gem on a piece of paper and it ended up something that never existed?
Yes, and you see, they tricked the NNP administration, not just the individual, because we're not referring to the individual here. We're not speaking to the individual, but the administration in terms of competence versus incompetence.
That's right, Kim. And we could look at Steve Altman again. This guy got millions, I think, or thousands in concession, and that's supposed to open a business. And instead, I think what he did, this guy brought in a set of what it was.
Sex
I think
toys?
It was sex toys. I mean, I know a lot of people who's listening to this program now wouldn't remember this. But these are the things that we need to refresh people's memories of things that happened under the NNP administration, led by the so-called smart or best prime minister in the Caribbean and in Grenada, Keith Mitchell. Keith has remained the biggest failure to Grenada and this country's economy. People, we will refresh your mind on these things. Have a good night, brother.
Thank you. Thank you very much there. Yes, and that is the real purpose of this program, to give you information, to refresh your memory. This is the Open University. We want you to know more. We want to empower you. Again, the number is 415-4817. 415-4817, and you're free to call. I realize you had 3 people calling there earlier while that caller was making his contribution. So you can actually call back and one by one, and you can have your say. Again, the number 415-4817. 415-4817. You see, this guy knows what he's doing. So he goes on some program communicating with people in the diaspora, specifically so, right? It's amazing, but it's something that he tried before. He tried that in the past, and it worked. This time around, he's dealing with programs like these. He's dealing with technology, social media, radio, just name it. And they're not allowing him to have his way with all this misinformation. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Kim. How you doing, man?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Yeah, well, I say that I love my prime minister, I love my country, and I love the young teams. And from the time this government coming up, it's about time the teachers are ever go in the hot sun and sweat for the money. And Grenadian plane forget 2003, I think 2000 whatever. That Keith Mitchell, from a prime minister, tell his supporters and them when the NDC come up, the state will come in front of the door, tell them march.
Right, well, hear this.
Grenadian
Hold
plane
on.
forget. Have a good evening.
Hold on, caller. I do not have any evidence to substantiate the claims you just made because I didn't hear that and I don't have the tape or any evidence before me. So I want to treat it as unconfirmed, right? Unconfirmed. Let me look into it. If I get that tape or get that recording, I will come back and say yes or no, right? But all for now, I want to treat it as unconfirmed information. But thank you very much, caller, for your contribution. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening, Kim Jones. How you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I did cool, man. Kim Jones, when I hear Kit Mitchell calling on this administration to address the crime rate, I had a big laugh. Kim Jones, the man that cut out the two head and put it in a bucket and bring it in the police in Grenville police station under who leadership? That was the worst crime for years. What happened? Kim Jones, I just want to say to the shitters on the street tonight.
The chatters.
You saying chatters, I think it was the shitters. I didn't know it was the chatters. I make a mistake. I want him to know that he have an office, the Honorable Ron Redhead have an office up in going up Mongete. He could bring the evidence inside there. He said this morning he has people that they on NIS program and they boasting they get in the seed program. I want him to bring the evidence. They let the minister look at it and investigate the matter and see if the shitters on the street talking the truth. Kim Jones, if I have a little money to give, put in the people that get in the NIS, the little people that get in $185 a month, I'm going to put them on the little list to get a little something in this day and age, Kim Jones. These people work hard years in this country and you're receiving $185 a month, and if they get a little something from the government, from the country they work. Kim Jones, we wicked, you know. These supporters of the NNP, they bad man, you know. Watch how much money them can men come in this country, rape this country, and go with all this money. You vex because a poor woman getting $185 a day on the seed program. These people and them don't have a heart, and they say they love for people dying, they crying, the pressure go up, the sugar go up for 150, and somebody getting 185 and they on the seed program. You have something to talk about. Before I run out, I want to ask the bishop where he was when Gemma Bain Hansford as a woman in this country, Kim Jones, walking and she was wrongful fire by the administration, the NNP. That man never called on a woman to pray that she don't go and sell drugs and she don't go and sell she body. Today, the bishop calling and to pray for the public servant because they under pressure. When Mr. Dasset Charles had the business running, and the administration, the NNP go and mash up that man business. The bishop didn't know that man need praise to help him have a spare mind 20 years before he start paying the man. These people and them, they bad mind, you know. They bad mind and they wicked. That is why Kit Mitchell give the churches a $5,000 that they should watch crime taking place in his country and have nothing to say.
It was not him giving the churches
the
any money.
Administration.
It was the Keith Mitchell-led administration. It was the government.
That's right.
Yeah,
right.
that's important.
$5,000 for some of them churches to shut them out. They couldn't say nothing. They see all wrong thing. Evil is taking place on people in this country and they couldn't say nothing. But now the bishop want to pray for this administration after how much years these people and them coming for Christmas. That man go and take out over how much $1 million.
Yeah, you know, I didn't.
People.
To be fair, I didn't hear the bishop say that or make such a statement. I only hear people saying
I hear the clip. Yeah.
Oh, you heard a clip?
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't hear. Maybe I can look for it.
That bishop is, I like to say, you have to will and come again.
I have to look
Have a
for
good
it. I have to look for it because I didn't hear.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks. Right, so I would still treat that as unconfirmed because I didn't hear. Right, I like to be in the know. I like to be at that position where I can, So while my good friend there speaking, I could just play it. I could, but I will look for it because I heard people say certain things I didn't hear. Right, I didn't hear it. So because you see, Keith Mitchell made certain statements at that town hall meeting with Peter David and those guys. And they're claiming that the bishop then made a similar pronouncement, a very similar pronouncement. So I do not have the facts to substantiate that. So I prefer to get it. And then if it is true, I say, yes, it's true. If it's false, I say it's false. Right? That's how I do this program. Thank you very much, dear Kola, for your contribution and sharing your opinion. Again, the number is 415-4817. 415-4817. That's the number to call to get on the inside. And it's no longer the chatters on the street, it's the cheaters on the street. Right? I had a good laugh there. All right. So we still have some time. If you want to call, you can. The number 415-4817. We still have about 5 minutes left in the program for tonight. All right, let's take that call. Good evening, caller.
Hey Kim, good night.
Hi.
Yeah, I listened to that interview with this man, and Kid Mitchell is a real big liar. According to you, that man is a compulsive liar. The man, all the things the man saying he can do, he would do that in the past. He would do that. And what Miss Glenda just said, she's so true with what she just said. Man, look, this man is a real dumb presser boy. He's a real dumb presser. He need to go. He need to get out of this place. Trust me. Have a good night.
All right. So again, as I said, I will look into it, and if I would try to get that information. That's important because I would not sit here and just say certain things because I don't know. I didn't listen to it. Once I get that information, we will discuss it. Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Hey, Kim.
Hey.
Oh, I went in that town hall. The Prime Minister, Graham Andal. Andal used to be my teacher. Man, if you see human beings, man, if you see people and love, man. I wish you could have been there, Kim. You know what I'm saying? It was beautiful, man. Those boys were proud, you understand? And nobody mentioned the opposition name. Nobody mentioned nothing about them. You understand me?
Right.
Anyhow, love, man. All you're doing. Everything is love, you understand?
All right, plenty love.
All right, take care. Beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Indeed. Again, the number 415-4817. 415-4817. All right. 415-4817. That's the number to call. We still have about 3 or 4 minutes, right? So let me take this call. Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. I listened to the news yesterday evening and this evening. When mention was made about the postal corporation workers. Now, I want to know if those people have just started working within the last year. 1, 2, it is my understanding, I stand to be corrected, or probably I should ask the union people to say whether or not what I'm going to say is true. I think mention was made of these people working for the past 6, 7 years for $720. Now, as you like to say, tell us the truth. Don't just take what will look good to us or what we can run with and make mischief. Tell us that these are the people who work probably 3, 4 hours a day, very rarely 4 hours. Now, these are the people who do the mail distribution for the corporation. And these people only give probably 3 hours for the most. Really, there should be from 8 to 12, as I'm told, as I understand. But, most times it doesn't take all that. So let the people know that these are the people we're talking about, and don't give us the impression that everybody in there is being victimized and whatever. And that is not victimization. Victimization started when you took these people to work and gave them that minimal payment and did nothing about it. And I think the union was around from the time those people started working. If you represent them, if they're unionized, then you should have stood up, not just now, but before, and give seek their interests. And also, when certain things are being done that the government does not talk about, like assisting people who work in some of the geriatric homes or wherever, increasing their salaries, because some people have been in some establishments for years where government probably may or may have not given a subsidy. And it is my understanding that they got some little thing on the salary, however small it might be. And it is also my understanding, I stand to be corrected, that the unions know about it. Tell them come forward and give the government some praise for that instead of just looking for everything they could criticize and see how they could pull down. Thank you very much.
Well
Have a
said.
good evening.
Thank you. Well said, Ekola. Thank you very much. Indeed, folks, we have to pull the curtain down here for tonight. We have to pull the curtain down here for tonight. I want to thank all the people who called, all the callers. Thank you very much. I want to wish you all the best, the viewers, the people who shared the program. Take good care. Have a wonderful night. I will be back with you, God's willing, tomorrow at 8 a.m. At 8 a.m. Because we want to talk about competence versus incompetence, because that's important. If you're saying that we are incompetent, we are young and we are inexperienced, well, we're going to show you our scorecard. We're going to show you what we were able to achieve in 12 months. And we want to look at what you were able to do in 23 years and the amount of millions you cost this country, where convestors took millions and millions and millions and run away with it. We have to talk about that. Yeah. Because you started it, you opened Pandora box, You opened that can of worms. I hope you could close it back. Let's talk about incompetence versus competence. Folks, have a wonderful, wonderful night.